Good morning, everyone. My name is Michael Deemer. I'm President and CEO of Downtown Cleveland Alliance, and I'm joined today by the City of Cleveland Mayor Justin Bibb, County Executive Chris Ronayne, Ward 3 Council Member Carrie McCormick, Destination Cleveland Vice President of Public Relations and Communications Emily Lauer, and they're here today to illustrate that it takes strong partnerships and collaboration to do the hard work of city building. We're fortunate at this moment in time in Cleveland to have collaborative leaders aligned around a shared vision. And that's what we're here to talk about today. We're here to talk about where downtown Cleveland was prior to the pandemic, where we've been over the last few years, and most importantly, where downtown Cleveland is headed as we emerge from the pandemic. I think as everybody knows, we had well-documented momentum in downtown Cleveland prior to the pandemic. We had strong residential growth in the core. We had private sector job growth over the course of the preceding 10 years. We had significant investment underway, and just a couple of months before the pandemic came upon us, Sherwin-Williams announced that it would be building its new corporate headquarters in the core of downtown Cleveland. But then the pandemic came, and it created challenges of all kinds around the world, a lot of tragedy, a lot of suffering, a lot of economic consequences. And in downtown Cleveland, like all downtowns, we were really prevented from doing the thing that we do best: bring people together to live, work, play, and celebrate. And here we are in the middle of 2023, and things are getting better in our cities and in our downtowns. People have returned for ball games and concerts and theater, dining and nightlife. They're out enjoying parks and green spaces and our waterfronts. Demand for downtown living remains strong, exceeding even pre-pandemic levels. Cleveland is a leader in converting legacy office space to new uses, leaving us better positioned than other cities to come out of the pandemic. Our office workers have returned to downtown at a higher rate than the national average, but the increased prevalence of remote work means a reduced daytime population to support small businesses and financial instability for office buildings. That rise of remote work really means that the three-legged stool of economic activity that drives the downtown economy, residents, visitors, and office workers, is missing a leg. This has really led downtowns across North America, including Cleveland, to question what the future of our downtowns looks like. And today we're happy to introduce our response, Reimagining Downtown Cleveland. This collection of short-term strategies is aimed at accelerating the transformation of downtown Cleveland from traditional 9-to-5 central business district to a model 24-hour, 15-minute neighborhood. We pair those short-term strategies with intermediate and long-term plans driven by our shared vision for the future of downtown. Reimagining Downtown provides a clear path for policymakers, community partners, developers, real estate professionals, investors, and lenders for where downtown Cleveland is headed in the post-pandemic era. Now, before we jump into the specifics of Reimagining Downtown, I'd like to invite my colleagues to share their perspectives on what this effort means to them. Downtown Cleveland's future depends on private sector buy-in from property owners, from residents, employers of all sizes, entrepreneurs, and civic leaders. And it also depends upon powerful and persuasive public sector leadership. Leadership like that of my friend, Mayor Justin Bibb, and I'd like you to join me in welcoming Mayor Bibb to the podium.
Thank you so much, Michael. And it is certainly an honor to be here on a beautiful sunny day in Cleveland. And this topic is so important to our administration. As Michael mentioned, we are facing another challenge in our city. How do we reimagine our downtown and bring it back better than we've ever seen before? And if you think we're going back to a pre-COVID world, you're sadly mistaken. We're not. The future of downtown has to be bold, has to be different, and we have to change the value proposition of our downtown. The vision we're outlining today is not about going to a central business district, but truly creating a community business district, a 15-minute city neighborhood that's thriving 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And our administration has taken some very clear immediate actions to achieve that goal, both in the near term and long term. First, through the partnership of City Council, particularly my councilman, Kerry McCormick, for the first time in Cleveland's history, we're finally bringing smart parking meters to our downtown. Well overdue. Say goodbye to quarters, dimes, and nickels. And this will go a long way to making the resident experience, the tourism experience, easier for folks to live, work, and play in the core of our great city. Secondly, we see shovels in the ground. Over $1 billion of development already underway, with another $500 million in the pipeline. And our administration, led by my Chief of Integrated Development, Jeff Epstein, will be aggressive in encouraging more development in our urban core with targeted, focused incentives as well to let the world know that Cleveland is open and ready for business. We've also been very focused on leveraging the historical federal investments we've gotten from President Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris through the American Rescue Plan to make sure we can bring back our economy in a bold, effective way. We're going to be using $1 million of our money leveraged with other private sector investments to improve the lighting of our urban core and downtown in areas like Euclid Avenue and Public Square. We also have used over $10 million of ARPA money to improve the public space improvements as well all across downtown. And we're also looking at a new job credit tax incentive to encourage more companies to choose downtown as their new corporate headquarters. And as I was in Columbus last week, many mayors asked us about the great work we're doing to convert historic buildings to residential buildings. We know how to get it done in Cleveland. We've created a national model. We just got to keep our foot in the gas to make sure that Cleveland doesn't miss the moment like we missed after the Great Recession of 2010. This is the era of the mid-sized city. I believe we have one of the best downtowns in America. And this strategy we've outlined today will go a long way to making that vision a reality in our city. Before I kick it off to my governing partner and friend, the county executive, Chris Ronayne, I also want to talk about the importance of safety. We can't have a vibrant city if folks don't feel safe, if business owners don't feel safe to open up a business, if residents don't feel safe walking to work or walking at home. Our administration is working around the clock to keep our city safe, but we can't do it alone. We need residents to encourage folks to have their kids to have a safe and productive summer. We want to encourage the public not to use guns to solve disputes. And we also want to make sure we continue to send a message to Republican lawmakers in Columbus and Republican lawmakers in DC. Help us mayors all across Ohio and all across this nation pass common sense gun legislation. Chief Wayne Drummond can only do so much. The men and women of our police department can only do so much. We need Congress to act. We need lawmakers in Columbus to act. And we need the public to help us keep our city safe and secure, because we all have a role to play to keep our community safe. Thanks so much, and I'll kick it off to the county executive.
Thank you, Mayor, and good morning, everybody. I'm Chris Ronayne, Cuyahoga County Executive, and I'm glad to be with you today here in downtown. Thank you to the Mayor and to DCA for the invitation today. This is an utterly important initiative for our region. The cities to get out of the gates post-pandemic with an aggressive plan to reimagine their place, their space, their downtowns are going to be the cities that are going to, in the new economy, succeed. But it is a competition for metros to reimagine how they're going to repurpose their cities, and particularly downtowns that have changed so much over the pandemic, as the mayor said. So we are with the city of Cleveland and the Downtown Cleveland Alliance on a strategy to build and rebuild downtown in a different way. I'm glad to be here on Mall C. It's a special place for me personally. It's the first place I had a job as a kid. I sold ice cream right across the street on Mall B. And it was a different downtown then. It was chock full of office workers, mostly office workers, not many residents. And I've seen this downtown now, I think, in 3 phases. One was that robust period of the office worker downtown. And then I saw it transition to more of a mixed-use resident neighborhood as well. Great credit to the partners. DCA, I see partners from Playhouse Square Partners, Flats Forward, Campus District, Historic Gateway, and warehouse districts that came before with DCA. They really thought about how to change the downtown as we saw office migration. But this is our 3rd phase. This is Downtown 3.0. This is what are we going to do to succeed in a post-pandemic environment that's shaken downtowns, with remote commuting being a reality and people working out of their homes. And I think the DCA and its new plan of reimagining downtown Cleveland has got it. That we focus on economy, that we focus on flexing out the space, and that we focus on reimagining our city to our unique and distinctive attributes. I called the mayor an hour before this meeting. I asked, how can we at county help? The mayor is never slow to come back with a response about how we can reach out and help. He said waterfronts, infrastructure, and public safety. Thank you, Mayor. It was a quick and concise identification of how the county can be a partner. And we will be on all 3 of those fronts. I'll give you a few specifics of the where, but we're working in partnership every day with the City of Cleveland and Downtown Cleveland Alliance. And I will say, I've lived a few political eras, and one of the better ones was seeing the partnership between, and they even themselves have discussed this, when then County Commissioner Hagan and Mayor Michael R. White worked together to get things done in the Gateway Complex. And I've heard County Commissioner Hagan many times reference that relationship. It's a relationship that Mayor Bibb and I have, which is forward-looking progress, regardless of who's at the lead, regardless of who gets the credit. It's all about us progressing in partnership together. So specifically on the waterfronts, you know this is a passion of mine as a former planning director, but I want to help this city reach the water, and the county will help the City of Cleveland and Downtown Cleveland Alliance better connect to its waterfronts. One, the infrastructure right in front of us will change. We will have a downtown resident community and office community reach its harbor as it should and get over that beast between us, that highway that's divided us. We will be a partner in that connected infrastructure. In the River Valley, we see nothing but opportunity. We see some riverfront communities that have gotten ahead a few years ahead of us in Pittsburgh and Cincinnati and Columbus, but it's our time. It's our time to reach the Cuyahoga with support for projects like Irishtown Bend, the Canal Basin Park, the Detroit Superior Veterans Memorial Bridge project, where you're going to literally see neighborhoods connected. In that river valley, it's going to transform. It's going to be a river that we're going to be proud of, a river that once burned and a river that's now returned, and we're going to celebrate it. And speaking of that, Mayor and I are on the same page about positioning this place as a freshwater capital, a reason to be here, a reason to explore the greatest treasure in the state of Ohio, but frankly, a nation in the world, the Great Lakes and the fresh water source in front of us. 20% of the world's water supply, fresh water supply, is right outside our front door. So not only connect to it, but build on the asset that is here as a freshwater source. We look around and you head from the river to the east. There's nothing more extraordinary than having the highest concentration of theater space outside of New York and the 3rd highest or 2nd highest in North America right here in Cleveland that you can walk to from downtown. We'll use that as an asset. Around the county building, you'll see us attract more people and more firms to buildings downtown as we repurpose them. We're literally talking about the county building as County Square, bringing some more of our own offices to the downtown to help with the transformation of downtown. And as we head further east, speaking of connected infrastructure, we've been working with the City of Cleveland and the Campus District to make sure that that connection, importantly, to the central neighborhood connects from the Campus District of Cleveland State. Thank you, Mark. We will be, and Mayor Bibb, we will be continuing to work to build off of our campuses itself. At Tri-C Metro and the Downtown Cleveland State University, big plans ahead. We're excited to work with those 2 new presidents to see the transformation of downtown include students, graduate students, researchers, and faculty and residents living and working downtown. That's why we're bullish that we've, yes, had population growth in this last era, in residential population growth, but more to come. In this region, a growth center will be downtown if we work at it in partnership together. So from the fresh water and connecting to it, to the bridge infrastructure that will connect neighborhoods, to actually doubling down on office and resident space and repurposing buildings in support of a downtown agenda, you're going to see this county be a partner in the far-reaching future to the City of Cleveland and the Downtown Cleveland Alliance on an agenda for growth. And I truly believe that our best days in the downtown are ahead. Thank you very much. I think it's my opportunity to introduce Councilman Kerry McCormick, who I've stood here on stage this week in support of an event, Pride Cleveland, which was fantastic. Thousands of people here downtown. It was great to see it. Just thousands of people out enjoying the city of Cleveland on a great sunny weekend in Cleveland. So without further ado, here he is, Ward 3's finest, Councilman Kerry McCormick.
Thank you, County Exec Renee. And Ward 3's finest. I'm Ward 3's only councilman, so that's easy to say. What an honor it is to be here with my esteemed colleagues. One of my favorite constituents, Mayor Bibb. Mayor, don't tell my other constituents I said that. But really a great honor to be here. And as the county executive noted, a really special place because just a few days ago, we celebrated one of the most electric dynamic prides this city has had in a very, very long time right here on this site. I want to thank all the partners, our friends from public safety for making sure that that was a great event here in the city of Cleveland. As you've heard, Cleveland and downtown is turning a corner, and we are focused on ensuring that it is welcoming and appealing to everybody. I have the honor of representing the almost or more than now 20,000 residents in one of the fastest growing residential neighborhoods in the city of Cleveland, right here in downtown Cleveland. And we know that in order to continue to grow our residential population, in order to continue to make the case that this is the best place to locate your business, the best place to visit on vacation, we have to answer, as the mayor said, the value proposition of our downtown Cleveland. And how do we do that? We do it by investing, as has been noted before, in our public spaces, our lakefront connections, our riverfront connections, our little pocket parks that the Downtown Cleveland Alliance has been spearheading as we've moved forward, making this the most friendly place to be in. Whether you live here, you're coming here to work, or you're coming here to visit, that is going to be the key to success. This is the best place to do business, and we've got to continue to make that value proposition. I'm also a firm believer that as we go through time and as we see the effects of climate change, the Great Lakes region is going to be a critical place for population growth, and Cleveland is setting itself up with the leadership that you have here today to ensure that we benefit from that growth. And that's what I'll tell you. I'm a born and raised City of Cleveland resident. I grew up in Ward 8 on the east side. I live in Ohio City now. Never in my life have I seen the aligned leadership around common goals as I see today. With a county executive, a mayor, our civic and public partners aligned on ensuring that this city doesn't just talk about, but actually advances into the world-class city we know it can be. This city has more assets, more benefits, a stronger population, culture, food, museums, waterfronts than most cities across America. But let's be honest, we have not done what we've had to do to leverage those assets in the past. Today is different because we have people in office who get it and are about getting it done and not just talking about it. So I am thrilled to be the council person for downtown and the near west side. I've never been more excited in my life to see this progression. And as the mayor noted with smart parking, we are starting to see the fruit of that labor actually come to fruition across the city of Cleveland. The mayor knows I've been complaining about parking for a long time. Finally, we had someone that showed up and actually did it. Thank you, Mayor. But anyways, the point is that you've got the leadership, the vision, and the actual effort behind to make downtown an even better place to be. I am more optimistic about this city than I've ever been in my life as a lifelong city resident. So with that, I'm going to get off here, but we're going to introduce the gentleman who's already been up here to tell you more specifically about what that plan is going to be. And before he comes up, let me just say this. Downtown Cleveland Alliance has always been a strong organization, but they are more than ever nimble, pivoting, adjusting resources to ensure that they are meeting the needs of everyone that utilizes downtown Cleveland. Michael Deemer has been an incredible leader to step into that position and to say, we're going to do what we got to do to make sure that downtown Cleveland continues to be one of the best downtowns across America. And he's going to tell you a little bit more about that plan. Michael.
Thank you, Councilman McCormick, and thank you, Mr. Mayor and County Executive. As you can see, there's terrific alignment and terrific partnership. A lot of the partners that it takes to build a dynamic downtown and city were name checked. I want to thank Campus District, Flats Forward, Greater Cleveland Partnership, who are all represented in the audience today, as well as the partners on the dais and who have spoken here. I'd like to now talk a little bit about the framework that we're laying out today in Reimagining Downtown. It's really a framework that doubles down on what makes downtown Cleveland special. Its culture, entertainment, and food scene, our historic architecture, our beautiful parks, green spaces, and waterfronts. What if these gems could be easily connected and navigated by foot, bike, wheelchair, or whatever mode of transportation suits you? What if, as you travel downtown streets and sidewalks all along the way, you encountered something delightful and surprising? Unique shops and storefronts, beautiful streetscapes, diverse housing options, abundant entertainment and music, all within a clean, safe, and welcoming environment. These ideas were top of mind for all of us as we developed Reimagining Downtown Cleveland. The framework completes downtown's transformation by strengthening the environment, the economy, and experience of downtown. We've organized Reimagining Downtown around those three areas, and I'm going to talk briefly about each of them. I'm going to begin with the environment, because a strong urban core begins with a clean, safe, and attractive environment where employees, residents, and visitors feel safe and comfortable. At Downtown Cleveland Alliance, we're hiring 20 more ambassadors, including safety specialists trained in community outreach and de-escalation tactics that can provide transportation to area treatment facilities for those in need. They're backed up, of course, by our partners at the Department of Public Safety and the Cleveland Division of Police. We're expanding our partnerships with social services and the Cleveland Division of Police for improved crisis intervention and case management for individuals struggling with mental health and addiction. And then earlier this year, to make sure that we're maintaining our public infrastructure and keeping it attractive, we launched a new digital reporting system to notify the city of public spaces that are in need of infrastructure repair and maintenance. And then we're working with the city and property owners as appropriate to develop remediation plans. In addition to the environment, we've got to have memorable experiences that celebrate Cleveland's diversity and distinctiveness that is essential to establishing a really commute-worthy place and also attractive to residents and visitors. We're enlivening downtown Cleveland with live music, mini performances, and opportunities to gather in all 4 seasons. And let me put some numbers behind that. In 2023, we'll activate nearly 20 public spaces and private plazas with over 600 activations, up from 450 in 2022. In 2023, there will be over 280 days where public spaces in downtown are activated, an 18% increase from the previous year. We're also working with our partners at Destination Cleveland to animate downtown buildings and alleys with public art and lighting. There are 4 murals currently in the works, 2 sponsored by Downtown Cleveland Alliance, 2 sponsored by Destination Cleveland, and we really look at every alley and every building as a potential canvas to be brightened up with art and lighting, again, to make a great experience in downtown Cleveland. Having that clean, safe, welcoming environment, having those great experiences leads to having a strong economy where we're growing jobs and businesses, curating vibrant storefronts, encouraging residential development at all price points, and building a really multimodal network. I'm going to share a few of the initiatives that are in the Reimagining Downtown plan that are moving our economy forward in downtown. We're implementing a retail action plan. We're working with StreetSense, a national consultancy firm that works with downtown organizations nationally on developing retail plans. And by the end of this summer, we will have a retail action plan in place that will work with all the partners here today to implement and attract a more diverse storefront businesses and really focus on local, minority, and women-owned retail storefronts to really diversify our downtown market. We're emphasizing mobility options. We, as a team, all the partners that you heard from today, are working to fill capital funding streams with fundable plans for bicycle networks, pedestrian infrastructure, and beautification initiatives that leveraged all the planned private investment across downtown. We'll initiate and complete the Hope Memorial Bridge Loop in the Superior Midway, and we'll expand from those bike infrastructure networks to build a downtown-wide network that connects not just the districts of downtown, but all of the surrounding neighborhoods with a great bicycle and pedestrian experience. We just completed a downtown demand study for housing with a new goal of reaching 30,000 residents in the downtown core by 2030. We're advocating to achieve that for an expanded Ohio Historic Preservation Tax Credit and the Federal Downtown Revitalization Act, which will help convert more office space into new uses. As Mayor Bibb mentioned, Cleveland has become not just a state leader, but a national leader in repurposing legacy office space to new uses. We're going to double down on that strategy and continue to grow the downtown residential population. But we also know we need to modernize our office buildings. And so we're working with the city, county, Greater Cleveland Partnership, and Team Neo on strategies to modernize office buildings and attract new businesses. Even as we reimagine and repurpose many of the spaces in downtown, it's important not to prematurely wave the white flag on business attraction. We're working, again, with the mayor to modernize economic development programs, processes, and marketing strategies. As the mayor said today, and at the State of the City, Cleveland is open for business, and they're modernizing their economic development programs to support business attraction and continue to grow the city. We've talked a lot this morning, and we've talked a lot as a city about connecting our public assets and connecting the core to both shores. Great cities have strong cores. Special cities connect those cores to great waterfronts and surrounding neighborhoods. And much of this plan is really going to be focused on creating great public realm capital improvements for a great pedestrian experience in the core that connects to great pedestrian experiences leading people to both of our dynamic waterfronts. We'll work with the city and county and all the partners to create and complete North Coast Harbor improvements, everything from bulkheads and bollards to irrigation and lighting to landscaping and great experience for people to enjoy on the lakefront. We'll complete Canal Basin Park on the riverfront. We'll enhance the bicycle and pedestrian connections between the core and the Columbus Road and Scranton Peninsulas. And we'll secure funding to repair bulkheads along the Cuyahoga River. And again, those connections within the core and between the core and the shores are going to be essential to reimagining downtown and making it the post-pandemic place that we know and when it can be. What's new and different here is, as has been noted, the public and private civic leadership aligned around a clear vision and strategic framework for downtown Cleveland's future. What's also new is a relentless focus on public realm capital improvements. We're facing really an unprecedented situation coming out of the pandemic. Our partners are aligned toward a shared vision for our downtown, as you've heard today, and these short and long-term strategies will help accelerate and reimagine our core to meet the needs of the 21st century. Through these targeted initiatives, we'll make downtown Cleveland a more clean, safe, welcoming, and attractive city center that blends our downtown districts, our surrounding neighborhoods, into a truly seamless urban fabric that's greater than the sum of its parts. I'm happy today to stand here and launch Reimagining Downtown Cleveland. I'm looking forward to working with all of the partners that you've heard from today to really make our downtown an even better place to live, work, and play, and to celebrate it as an asset for all of the residents of the city, of the region, and we're with Mayor Bibb's leadership, with County Executive Renane's leadership. I think we're signaling to the rest of the country that Cleveland is a special place. We're open for business, and we're looking forward to welcoming people to our downtown in the coming years as we reimagine the future. We have a number of folks here able to answer questions should you have any, and I know the Mayor, County Executive, and I will be interested and happy to answer your questions as well. So thank you.
Question for the mayor and other presenters here. I know you've said you don't want to wave the white flag on downtown business attraction, but do you have any sense of what kind of office space needs we're going to see? I mean, do you think that sort of the era of the downtown office building is ending now that we can work from anywhere?
I'll let you chime in too. I certainly think that the new employee for a post-pandemic world is looking for an office space that can do a couple things. Number one that's modern, that has various different amenities, where they can truly kind of have a live, work, and play environment, what you call a third space. And so making sure that any new office space takes that into consideration. On the other side as well, I think residential buildings also need to have that same kind of third space feel and environment. And one thing we're trying to do, not just downtown, but in every city in Cleveland, is really create a 15-minute city. Or regardless if you're downtown or in Lee Harvard or in West Park, you have all the amenities you need within a 15-minute walk. Whether that's a grocery store that sells fresh fruits and vegetables, a high-quality park that's well-lit and programmed, access to high-quality public transit, protected bike lanes, all those things are interconnected. And so what you had pre-pandemic was primarily downtowns focused on just being a central business district. And in many ways, we were ahead of many of our peers in that sense of making this a place where residents can live and also work and play. I think we're ahead of New York in many ways in that sense, ahead of San Francisco in many ways in that sense. And so there's a lot for us to build on, a lot of core strengths to build on. And I also believe our waterfronts from the Cuyahoga to Lake Erie gives us also another unique competitive advantage as well, too. Michael, you want to add to that?
I just add, yeah. I'm not going to add to every question and play second to the mayor every time on this, but I will say on this one, just from the benefit of just seeing a presentation from Cleveland State University, Levin Chair Bob Gleason just issued a number of job stats on Cleveland, which I'd encourage you to take a look at the Levin College. One, Cuyahoga County hosts roughly 700,000 jobs. We punch well above our weight of a county of 1.2 million people. That means we bring a lot of people in from the region. But of that, well over 200,000 of those jobs are here in the city of Cleveland. And of all those jobs, roughly 50% of the jobs are not remote commutable, if that's a word, that you cannot remote commute in about half the jobs. So we take advantage of that opportunity in a legacy city like Cleveland, that there is ample opportunity to still host jobs here in the downtown in Cleveland and the center core of Cuyahoga County. But of that other 50%, Cleveland is tracking roughly the national average, which is about 2 days of remote commuting out of that 5-day work week. So we are, a city that still is going to host a whole lot of jobs and a county that's going to host a lot of jobs. And I think we take advantage of that opportunity that many of those jobs just need to be non-remote and working in place. And then finally, I'll just say, I think our rethinking how we anchor down on places like our healthcare industry and whether we can get people living close to work with a good transit system between is imperative. So we are, I think, still bullish on this economy. The service sector, the hospitality sector, the healthcare and IT sector are strong in Cleveland and all bode well for downtown. And there was one thing that the mayor also said to me an hour and a half ago, and that was work to repurpose buildings for mixed flexible use. And that's going to require a partnership on new zoning strategies as well. But I think we can do this, and there's a esprit de corps to do it.
I'll just add, because I think this is the question facing downtowns and really probably one of the animating rationales behind the need for a reimagining downtown plan. There's going to be demand for office space in the future. There'll be more demand in the future than there is today, as people remember that they like being together to come to work. Sitting in your room looking at your laptop all day will eventually get old, and that's already happening. But there will be less demand. And that's why we need to have strategies to adjust to focus on office buildings that have the amenities that are modern enough to meet the needs of today's office users, and then that we're looking at other adaptive reuse and conversion strategies for office buildings that don't have the amenity base or are not well suited to today's office users. So it's going to require more targeted strategies, and I think that's what we lay out in Reimagining Downtown. But I think as you look around us in downtown Cleveland, whether it's Cross Country Mortgage moving hundreds of jobs from the suburbs into the campus district during the pandemic, or Sherwin-Williams building their new corporate headquarters behind us in the heart of downtown, clearly there's going to be continued demand for office space.
Michael, can I ask a quick question? How many ambassadors do you have right now, and what's the rationale for the substantial increase in that particular report?
We'll top out during the summer around 100 ambassadors across downtown, and the rationale is simply that to have a visible, uniformed, unarmed presence, it makes the environment feel safer and more attractive for people visiting, living, and working here. And we know that's the bedrock of everything we want to see happen in downtown Cleveland. So we thought it was very important to grow that ambassador presence.
Question for the executive. We talked about connecting downtown to the lakefront, tackling the beast of the highway. Is there an actual plan to build like a pedestrian bridge over the highway, or what is the strategy?
Yes, and I could yield to any one of the persons next to me, particularly the mayor, but there is. I'm going to give it to the mayor, but we're here to help. Let me say that.
I'll kick it off and I'll let the councilman chime in. Since we took office, we've been very focused on how do we better connect the core of our downtown to Lake Erie. We're in the final stages of completing our North Coast Connector study. We've dedicated significant capital from our American Rescue Plan investments to jumpstart that effort. We've already had early conversations with the Secretary of Transportation, Pete Buttigieg, and the governor as well about supporting our North Coast Connector effort. So where we're standing right now, there will one day be a pedestrian bridge for bikes and pedestrians, no cars. I'm gonna say that again, no cars. And we have a best-in-class master planner, designer, James Corner Field Operations, who did the High Line as well, helping us to make sure we reimagine a world-class pedestrian bridge for that seamless integration and connection. So where we're standing right now will one day be an amazing world-class pedestrian bridge where you can walk directly to the lakefront. Want to chime in on that?
I would just note that in the past couple of weeks, City Council passed millions of dollars to allocate towards the design and build of the bridge. Obviously, it will take much more than that, but Council has been a strong partner in ensuring that this happens. And I'll note, too, that this is a critical connection, and not only do you have the bridge, but it will also open up a lot of different opportunities along the lakefront to develop the lakefront. So it's a big deal. It's people-oriented. It's pedestrian-oriented. And as the mayor noted, Field Operations is a firm out of New York City. I actually sat on the selection committee for the firm. They've done the Presidio Park in San Francisco. As the mayor noted, the High Line. They did Public Square. So they are a top-of-the-line firm to design that infrastructure.
Mark?
I'm wondering about a fourth of downtown, our parking lots or parking garages, which seem pretty awesome.
Speak up.
So about a fourth of downtown are parking lots, according to recent data. I'm wondering how do you incentivize developers to further build on parking lots or activate old garages or reuse them with mixed use in some sort of way? Are you guys cognizant of how to use walkability data in this way to figure out which pockets are not walkable?
Well, appreciate the question about surface parking and development. And, we turn the clock back to just as we were heading into what became the pandemic at the end of 2019, the beginning of 2020. We looked across the downtown Cleveland landscape, and, the next frontier of development was building on surface parking lots. We'd been national leaders, as we've talked about, in adaptive reuse, and oftentimes we would say we weren't a downtown of cranes, we were a downtown of scaffolding, because we had a lot of construction, but it was all largely adaptive reuse. But by the beginning of 2020, and even during the course of the pandemic, we started to break that final frontier of downtown development, new vertical construction on surface parking lots with the Lumen, with the Sherwin-Williams headquarters and campus right in the heart of downtown, with the City Club apartments. So I think one way of answering the question is we got to where we needed to be just as the pandemic was beginning, I think with the Reimagining Downtown plan and some of the economic development tools that the mayor and his team talked about, I think we've got the toolbox in place to continue to pick up where we left off and build anew on our surface parking lots where, those surface lots are a blank canvas. Everywhere we see a place to park, we see a place and an opportunity to build.
You can't miss the opportunity. One, to say places change with the times. Where we are standing on Mall C, just a few years back, we came into City Hall and this was a parking lot where we're standing. It became, with will of leadership, then Mayor Campbell, it was a move to turn it into a park. And I think I'm seeing that a lot, obviously, with Mayor Bibb, with the humanizing of the city and the walkability of the city behind, again, DCA's plan. But what I wanted to say is that, we've got to lean in on employers. I know Beju Shah of GCP is here. We will lean in on employers to incent employees to use public transit. We at the county have now made, for our workers, public transit roughly $1 a day. So, to move that needle from $2.50 for a RTA pass to a very affordable $30 a month or less is the way you've got to go. And that will begin to help incent parking lot owners to see new development futures. But let's incent public transit. I biked into work yesterday. We take transit regularly, and we try to lead by example with saying to our employees, let's take other paths in.
Just one more thing. Jeff Epstein, Chief of Integrated Development with Cleveland City Hall. One of the other tools we're working on through our zoning department is to make it easier for property owners who are developing downtown to have less parking requirements. We're using transportation demand management where developers can put in place shared parking opportunities, public transit subsidy, electric bikes, bike storage to reduce the parking minimums that the city requires. We're also retooling some of our incentive programs to encourage transit-oriented development where we have dense development proximate to high-frequency transit. I expect that'll go to council in the fall.
Sorry about that. You talked about the lakefront, and now you can talk about the riverfront. When do you guys think that plan will be in the works? Really, kind of, when do you see that happen?
It's happening now. It's happening now. Bedrock just got their master development agreement passed through City Council, I believe, yesterday. We're in early conversations with the Rock Hall and the Browns about their renovation and expansion plans. Every time I can talk to somebody in Washington about giving us more money from the Bipartisan Infrastructure Act, I am. And so these things aren't just plans, but we're seeing real demand and real interest in both the riverfront and the lakefront. So much so, The Economist magazine highlighted this work as well globally. And so it's things are happening really fast. Yeah.
You're more confident, or like, how many years will it happen? It's not going to happen in the next, however many months.
Yeah, well, and I'll just throw off the mayor too. City Council passed a $3 million allocation yesterday, which will get up to a $7+ million price tag to do the kind of not fun stuff of the project. So utility work, some demolition, all that's critical to set the stage to lead to the development. But I'm going to let the mayor give you a timeline so he can be wrong down the road, not me.
Well, obviously, this is a 2-decade effort, right, in terms of realizing the complete vision. But, you're going to hear some early announcements, hopefully by the end of this year, about new tenants in the riverfront with Bedrock. As you know, the Rock Hall is going to be expanding. The Browns have a stadium renovation plan in the pipeline. Through council support, we passed for the first time in our city's history a true waterfront development authority to give us alternative financing mechanisms to see more shovels in the ground on our lakefront. And we're actually commissioning a real study on the future of Burke. And so we are moving as quickly as we can. But, we recognize this things takes time, but we're moving as quickly as we can to see real shovels in the ground on both the riverfront and the lakefront. Sure.
Not exactly splitting the atom, but I'd say we're always spending a lot of
Yep.
So as part of this, forward, what's the perception?
I'm going to have Chief Drummond chime in if you can. Chief.
Thanks. Appreciate the question. It's important that when we're talking about having folks come downtown, to live downtown, to play downtown, the case might be, that they feel safe. Obviously, we can't have that without robust security, and that's the partnership. Mike Deemer talked about him hiring an additional 20 ambassadors, and that's critical. One might say, well, what can they do? Well, they can do quite a bit, especially how they're going to be trained and specialized, trained to deal with folks that are in crisis. And let's face it, downtown, there are folks sometimes that are in crises. So those individuals will be able to deal with them, because not all individuals in the downtown area that are in crises require police officers to deal with them. So if we can have those ambassadors deal with those individuals, they'll free up my officers, and also Commander Tucker, who's here as the commander of the 3rd District, have his downtown services unit officers concentrate on those who are actually committing crimes and so forth in the downtown area. So that leveraging also our partnership with the county, it becomes really important. We have the county executive here. We have a new sheriff that's coming in and so forth, who's going to be retiring, our deputy chief, Harry Patel. We have a great relationship with him. Again, leveraging that partnership to have potentially their sheriff department also. Again, these are in the talks. I'm not saying it's going to happen. Just leveraging our partnership with them to have additional folks downtown. Also, the RTA Police Department, again, leveraging partnership, not just our patrol officers in the downtown services unit, but also those particular individuals, coupled with the ambassadors. I think that will help us secure downtown and the surrounding areas as well.
And Chief, if I can just add something to that too. I want to add something the Chief said, and we don't talk about this a lot, so I'm going to do it. You know, there are folks in downtown that need help. We know that, and we need to connect them to the resources. But when we have folks that are committing crime, habitual crime, repeat offenders, violent crime, we need Cleveland Municipal Court and Cuyahoga County Common Pleas to hold them accountable. And far too often they are failing to do that. And when that happens, we see repeat crime in our community. So yes, we need to plug folks into resources, but our judges need to understand that my residents, when someone commits a violent crime, do not want to see that person back out on the street the next day.
This is the second time mayors or summer city specifically mentioned judges.
Yep.
Now council department mentioning judges.
Yep.
Again. Where is this coming from?
Well, it's a major problem. I can count on many hands how many instances where we've had judges be too loose and allow repeat offenders back on our streets. And I've had a conversation with the prosecutor about this. I'm going to be talking to some judges about this over the next couple of weeks. But we need real judicial accountability to keep our streets safe and secure. Chief Drummond and Commander Tucker can be as aggressive as they can to put criminals in jail. But when those judges release them on our streets, it makes their job even harder. And that's frankly unacceptable. And so we want to make sure we're being aggressive on our part in law enforcement, but we need our judges and our prosecutors to work with local law enforcement. And this is happening not just in Cleveland, it's happening in New York, it's happening in San Francisco, it's happening all across this country. Judges have a role to play to keep our streets safe. And they must step up. They must step up.
Mayor, if I could just add on to that too. I just want to support what the mayor said, and I'll give you a story. I had a nurse who was pretty violently assaulted in downtown Cleveland. Cleveland Police did an incredible job navigating that case. And you can imagine how blown away my residents were when they saw the individual on the street the next day. And we're not talking about mental health. We're talking about someone who committed a felony, a violent felony, and the judges had them back on the street the next day. That is unacceptable.
Back to the lakefront and water development, we've seen decades of plans that have pitched and kind of fallen flat. What makes this plan the one that gets over the finish line?
You have a mayor, a county executive, and a county council and city council committed to getting it done. That's what makes it different.
And I'll just second that. But you're right. It's a great question. If you didn't hear it, there's understandable cynicism in the community about whether or not the waterfront plans are going to get realized. I again was one who was a part of the planning of a bridge connector back in 2004. It's been 20 years. But I will say of this mayor and this administration and also our council and the DCA, there's a drive to get it done. And one thing that we recommended literally 2 decades ago was a waterfront Development Authority, which this mayor has now put in place. It's rolling to fruition. We recommended Waterfront Bridge. I ended up out in University Circle. We built a little place out there called University Circle. But the reality is we're working to get it done. And we're down aggressively pounding the pavement in Washington and Columbus to find partners to help us get it done. And on the river, the good question about, when's it going to happen? It is iterative. It's going to keep happening. But we did see in other cities from Cincinnati to Pittsburgh to Columbus where an all-in effort with the center city, the county, the council, the chamber, and our nonprofit Downtown Drivers got it done. On the river specifically, we're going to be a big partner. It's the name that we carry in our county as well, Cuyahoga. We'd encourage you to come out to the Detroit Superior Bridge on June 23rd and 4th, right after that anniversary of that river that burned that's now returning. The weekend after, we're going to be hosting folks at the Detroit Superior Bridge to re-envision a park that connects two sides of that river. And all of these parks, we're reaching stages of final funding in the stack. And we're after it with the mayor and council to get her done. So I think our great days are ahead in this next few years to really connect infrastructurally. And it's a one-time moment to really capture some funds to get it done. We also need our partners at RTA and Amtrak to help us make sure we're moving people through the cities and along the waterfronts. But we're pretty excited about this future. And I can't say enough that there's a partnership and there's a drive to do it. And that's why things are starting to happen.
I think out of respect for everybody's time, we're gonna wrap up this portion. I'm sure a number of our guests will linger for any questions you might have. But I think ending on this note of alignment and partnership and collaboration is a great place to end. We have a special opportunity in the city of Cleveland right now with the aligned public and private leadership around building an 18-hour, 15-minute city. I want downtown Cleveland to be the model of that 18-hour, 15-minute city, but we've got tremendous public and private alignment around that shared vision and goal. It doesn't come along for every city all the time. We're lucky to have it in Cleveland right now, and a lot of what reimagining downtown Cleveland is about is maximizing that opportunity. So I want to thank all of the partners for being here today, all of you for being here, and look forward to working with all of you going ahead. Thank you.
Good stuff.